All right, guys, thanks for joining. As always, we'll go ahead and give a brief introduction here before we get started. This is the Thursday call that we have here for DeliverLogic. This involves new features, which I'll kind of review over some things that we are releasing, have released, are working on, etc. Just things I'm excited about in general. After my section, we'll kind of open up for any questions, and then we'll pass it over to Julie with DeliverLogic here for point of sale integration and Google food ordering questions. This is one of 5 calls that we now offer with the team. Again, we have a general call with Dave on Mondays. We have a marketing call with Devin on Tuesdays. We have a financial call and general questions call with Joe, CEO, on Wednesdays. This call, the best call of all of them, on Thursdays, and then Dave offers another round of general training on Saturdays too, just in case anyone is too busy during the week. You can jump on any of the calls, at the beginning, the end, the middle. Does not matter how long you stay. We appreciate you coming, though. Thank you. If you haven't made your way to any of the other calls yet, I would recommend you do so. They're all very valuable to be on. Great resources to have, especially those Wednesday ones. Please do. I want as many people to go to Joe's Wednesday calls as possible. Thank you. All right, so on this one, again, new features and things I'm excited about. So we just got back from the conference last week. I don't think that I attended last week's call as I was driving back home from Nashville to St. Louis. So I'm sure many of you had some questions for Julie. She probably did a great job answering them. If you have any remainder questions from last week, we'll get those addressed today. I'm not super organized for today's call, but some of the things I'd be most excited about would be we are finally going to actually fully release the DriverLogic updated app within the next week or so. So that'll just be a good thing to have out there in general. Some of the stuff that Devin featured at the conference, such as the new SMS marketing feature that he had built up. It's pretty cool. So it's meant to be used like on top of the active menus, active campaign, integration that we have, the marketing suite as we call it. And there'll be more information on it real soon, and I'll be able to speak more intelligently on it. However, what Devin has built up there is basically a text message marketing system that's fully built into RDS Logic that does not require you to opt into active campaign, the marketing suite, to use. However, I don't believe at this current state of the system that he's got built out that you're able to set up like automations and stuff like that. So it's just kind of for blasting, I think, at this point in time. I'll have more info on that here soon. Some of the other stuff that would be exciting coming out of the conference would be, of course, as we announced the other day, some of the integrations that we're working on with Nash and with EasyCater, most notably those. Those are going to hopefully drive more orders in, especially those EasyCater ones is what I would be most excited about, because you have some exposure to catering customers and catering clientele, and obviously those orders always carry larger delivery fees and tips and things of that nature. And kind of like with that would come slightly further down the road where we would be fully opening our API to folks that want to do stuff with it, right? So that kind of means a lot. It's a big deal. It's something that we had talked about for a long time. Clients would request it. You would say, what do you plan to do with it? They wouldn't really have a great answer. And nowadays people have great answers. So of what they would want to do with it. And you can do a bunch of stuff with it, right? So you can like send orders into the system this way. You can do stuff with the data once the orders exist. You can pull it out and do other stuff, whether that's like more crazy reporting stuff, or it's sending the orders to some other driver app for whatever reason. One thing that was cool, and I'll just throw this out there, always I have a ton of respect. So again, I've been helping run the DeliverLogic software company for a little bit over 10 years, nearly 10 years now, actually. And in the game, for I'd run a delivery service on the platform for several years prior to that. And always much respect to any competitors or anyone else trying to run software like this out there. But man, it takes a lot to get this to where it is, today. Coming from the conference, noticed that there's a lot of guys out there with some stuff that looks real cool, real shiny and neat. But it turns out you actually need to pair 6 of them together to really get anything done, right? So just amazing what DeliverLogic has built in. And as a reminder to myself, really this year at the conference, these guys with all this money coming in, trying to get involved and can really only, after a ton of money, a ton of investment, a ton of time, can only get 1/100th of what this platform can do together in their own system. So, it'll be fun to see what people can do with the API once we have that all out there. For now, we're concentrating on utilizing the stuff that we have to make direct integrations with these folks that everyone, wants. So again, at Nash and EasyCater and different stuff to get orders in. Of course, to get orders out, we still recommend bringing your own drivers on and really working hard to try to build your own driver pool and driver network. However, we do have the access in for the overflow stuff to send orders out to Postmates/Uber Eats, as we have had for a little bit now and released globally a few weeks ago. We are also really darn close on having the DoorDash side of that complete too. So not only will you be able to be calling on Uber or Postmates drivers, but also be able to call on DoorDash drivers in your market. You'll be able to price shop really quotes between the two before you decide which one you're going to go. And of course, there'll be some automations built into that, choosing the lesser of the two when it comes to the automated dispatch usage of third-party drivers. Mr. Jeff.
Hey, real quick on that DoorDash, are they going to use the same location as the Postmates right now within the dispatch, or is there going to be a different location?
What do you mean by location, Jeff?
So right now, if I was to run a dispatch screen, I would click on the quick info and then it'll say courier partner.
Yeah.
Is it going to be in the same area? Or
Yeah.
Is it going to be, okay. All right.
It's all going to be the same thing. And as we continue to add more in there, for example, if we add Lyft or, however many third-party driver integrations we make, it's all going to pipe through that same functionality that we already have now. Not exactly sure. There's probably going to be inside of the courier setup in the location area, there might be some sort of drop down selector for which ones you want to tap into, or what I'm saying. So there might be a preference, a client might say, I only want to tap into this network in this location and that network in that location. One second. But so yeah, Jeff, I think that makes sense to put some sort of control on which 3PD companies you're tapping into in certain markets. I think it would live inside of a setting in the locations area. And then based off of which ones you're allowing to tap into in those markets, then when you quick info in or click the little car icon dealy, which I think just pops quick info right now, then you'll probably see your options in there, or we might just be delivering to you whichever one you get cheapest at that time. I'll be interested to see how that plays out. Thanks for the question. We're going to jump over to Michael. Michael, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are.
Yeah, what's going on, Matt? It was good meeting you at the conference, by the way.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, I have questions. So with the EasyCater partnership, is that still in the works, or is it in the works, or is it finalized, or you guys still in the process of trying to get that partnership?
To be honest, I am not 100% sure about that. That's more in Joe, Anthony, or Devin's ballpark as far as the actual details on that deal. But I do know it was on that document that got marketed the other day that we just sent out for saying, hey, this is one that we're either in talks with or that it's moving quickly. And I know they've been around for years and years. I know we've talked to them before as a company, and I would assume, so the guys are also currently A handful of the team is out in Las Vegas at that Food on Demand conference, and I think there'll likely be some more opportunities coming out of discussions out there in Vegas as well. So I think for some of those deals, there's like chats starting at the RMDA, and then likely like, we'll see you guys next week too.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
Yep. No problem. And yeah, dude, that was good meeting you. We ended up at that Kid Rock's bar. I think after you guys left, we
oh man,
we ended up. It was so busy we couldn't leave, get out. So we were by that window. We paid the bill, but we all ended up jumping out of the window to leave that bar, and I just thought that was amazing. Yeah.
That was definitely a good time.
What a wild place. Yeah. All right. Back on track here. So a couple of random things that we're going to be adding in as well. We are looking at doing this feature that we had kind of worked on and announced years ago, but as the tax environment changes, we have to change with it and make sure that the clients have the ability to stay in compliance with the taxing authorities. So we are going to add the ability to tax the food for percentage taxation on food sale based off of the delivery address of the order instead of how it is currently, which is the restaurant address. It's based off of where the restaurant is. There's a restaurant tax rate that you set in the restaurant profile. That's how it works now. And in the future, we will have the option for you to be able to set a tax rate per zip code or zone, and then the food subtotal will be taxed at the tax rate of the delivery address's zip code or zone instead of the restaurant profile tax rate field. Does anybody have any questions about that? We also have the concept here that's, to be honest, I think pretty well flushed out, but there's we need to like get something on paper and start playing around with it a little bit more, like get it coded and get it into the computer, and so we can actually play with it more and probably flush out a couple of edge cases. But driver floor pay, that's something everyone's always wanted. It's kind of like, hey man, you're gonna work this 6-hour shift for me. I guarantee you I can get you $50, and if you don't, I'll cover the difference type thing. So we're going to be working on that, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, I'm not seeing anybody jumping off their seats here, nor does anybody have their camera on, but that's going to be one that I think is pretty cool. Driver retention and building your own driver pool. I just really think that with all of these third-party driver ability to tap in, and with all these folks going with this, this DSP thing, where like, I'm just afraid people aren't going to go out and try to sign up restaurants anymore, and aren't going to go out and try to get drivers anymore. Like, that's the core of what it means to run a delivery service, at least like it used to be. Is it still? I don't know. Maybe it's not. But like, I think it is still. I think you still have to be going out and trying to sign up restaurants, like on a weekly basis. I don't care how long you've been in business. Go out, hit the road weekly. Get out there, talk to the restaurants, try to sign them up, try to get your commission, try to get a little marketing fee here, there, whatever. Show face. And same thing with drivers. Make it fun for them. Make them happy. Make them want to work for you and not somebody else. Because you don't have anything, in my opinion, man, unless you have happy drivers showing up with the food from restaurants who are also happy and satisfied with your business, right? So we certainly play into that with making sure that the software is running and working well, but it's also, getting out there and doing the thing. So that's just my 2 cents on all that. Like I think this driver floor pay stuff is going to really play into that well for driver retention. That's kind of why I got on that tangent. Because this plays to driver retention. Questions on that?
Yeah, well,
as far as go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
So as far as the driver app, Matt, Joe mentioned at one point in time, or it might have been Anthony, at one point in time where we could put in if they do 25 orders in a week, or they do 50 orders a week, or whatever it is, or per day or something, that they can get like a bonus or something, just like what Grubhub and DoorDash and all them do. Is that
Those
still
were
on the roadmap?
it's not currently on the roadmap. Well, you know, I have a note here that on a driver referral program long-term vision notes state recruitment of drivers with incentives to partners who refer drivers. So not 100% on that one. It's not exactly what you're talking about. No, there's currently no. I would like a gamification, because to me, there's a couple things you can do with drivers, right? You can have like a captain driver who's like in charge of other drivers. Like, hey, driver, you're the driver who's gonna drive when you can't get other drivers, and your job is to get more drivers on. And when you get a driver that goes over 25 orders that you brought on, you get this, and that driver gets that. You know, something like that. I think makes a lot of sense. But I don't have notes for it right now. Jeff, maybe they have a ticket that I just I'm not looking at like my whole entire bucket of the 1,000 tickets or whatever right now.
Oh yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, they mentioned it before. I didn't know if you heard about it or not, but I know that it's maybe their goal is to get the new app out first and then add to it after the fact, right? So
That's a fantastic point. That is definitely the goal when it comes to anything that's going to be in driver app, is like, yo, let's get this thing out. Because one of the main purposes of doing what we've done with the new driver app is to make it so that it's easier to add things quickly. So you're spot on with that point.
thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Jacques.
Hey, Matt. Just a comment, a couple or two things, but one comment on the DSP stuff. For us, it's not to rely on if we get any here. It's really just to supplement the drivers to do exactly what you say. Keep retention, keep them busy, because they're not going to be like a windfall of money for them, but it is going to be something additional just to keep up their downtimes.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I do agree with that mentality for sure.
That's how we're looking at it. I mean, other people could be doing others, but, I think it's going to be a very valuable thing for that. The other thing is on the app, a question. I see that the end, there's chatter on the Facebook page too about the pop-up saying, are you still clocked in? Are you still taking orders? And then clocking drivers out. Is there a way to toggle that off? Because I don't always, me as a driver, I don't always get that pop-up. I don't hear that sound for the pop-up. I do hear the sound for the orders. I never have a problem accepting an order. But I find myself getting clocked out in our slower area often. And I look down, there's no driver available because I'm the only driver there.
That's happened to a couple of our drivers on the new app too.
Got you guys. There's no setting for it right now. I'm going to have to check with Anthony on that. He's been project managing pretty much everything with that new driver app, so I'll have to double check with him on like why we're doing that, if it's truly proving to be beneficial or not, and get a toggle in there if we decide we need to keep it.
I know we could also bring up, I know there was some talk instead of clocking somebody out, pausing them. At least that leaves them on the board, and dispatch knows who was there. They can contact them or contact a manager in that area and say, hey, what's going on with this person? But once you're clocked out, especially if you have a few people, you have 8-10 drivers, you may not realize which one is missing and why they're missing, if they clocked out themselves or it was an accident or whatever else.
Yeah, personally, I'd rather not have it do anything at all. If they're in, they're in, they're out, they're out.
Right.
I agree. Anyway, just a comment. Thank you.
Understood. Heard. Jeff.
All right, one last question. I put it in Slack, but so and this might be like something with a note and then pass it on to Anthony, but a lot of the drivers that we have in other markets where there is like DoorDash, Grubhub, and all them, I've noticed in our markets where there is a DoorDash, they literally have no drivers. They might get one on or whatever the case may be. it auto detects it. So if there's no drivers on, nobody can order delivery. And then once the driver hops on, the delivery option then becomes available. I
So
see
I
pros
did
and
see that.
cons.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do see pros and cons for it, but I think in most cases, if we, because what I've seen on my side is if I don't have a driver on, and then an order comes in, and then I'm in one of the markets where there's no DoorDash, no Uber, nothing like that. There's Grubhub, and that order will sit there for like 45 minutes, 42 minutes actually, 42, almost 43 minutes. And then I'll get a message from dispatch asking me, what do you want to do with this order? I'm like, well, why in the hell did it take you 42 minutes, first of all, to like figure out something? If I don't have a driver on and you do an SOS, I tell them, like, listen, give it 10 minutes. If there's no drivers on, call the customer and let them know that right now we don't have any drivers available. If you want to do a pickup, and we'll give you your the delivery fee and a tip back. But 10 minutes is like the cap, right? And to wait 40, 45 minutes, then to call the customer to say, hey, we don't have a driver available, then that customer gets upset. So I was just wondering if it makes sense, if there is a way, and maybe leave, let Anthony know. It'd be cool if there was a toggle where, hey, if there's no drivers on, delivery is not going to be available, right? And then leave it up to the RDS that is in those markets, right? So I didn't know if that was something that could be done, or if you think is really not a good idea. I don't know.
I don't see a problem with that. Really, from any perspective, I tried to put a hole in it. If anybody else can see a negative to a auto toggle of, hey, there's no drivers in this market, turn off delivery checkbox only allow. Well, there would be a negative on the GFO side potentially, and so we're definitely just like in building that out. Would consult with Julie to make sure that we're not negatively affecting any GFO listings by toggling those things on and off quickly or anything like that.
They
I wouldn't
did add the no driver in area message on the dispatch board just recently, a couple weeks ago, that maybe helps them with exactly that. If an order shows up in an area that there is no driver, in the driver column, in big letters, it says no driver available. So they should be seeing it and reacting to it at this point. But
yeah, I did see a ticket recently as well. So that must have, like, Jeff, maybe you had a problem recently with these guys. And I did see something related to that recently come through, Jacques. I think you might be right. I'm pulling something up on my end just to find this thing. It's a new thing, actually. There's a new ticket in QA testing right now. It says, when there are no drivers in a market and there's orders in a market. That's what this new one will do. We are currently showing 0. It's confusing to operators because they used to see a high number when there's blah, blah. Let's see. Not really clear what exactly the goal is to display with a red exclamation point with a tooltip, a buffer that states you have orders in this market with no drivers in this market. So there's something coming down the pipeline to make it even more clear, it looks like, as well. When you're about halfway through your statement, I was going to say it sounds like you need to take this up with Emory, but you did end it with a comment of a feature that would help. So heard. And I think that these guys have a couple things down the pipeline that'll be helping them with that situation.
Okay, thank you.
Indeed. Thank you. Mr. Richard.
Yeah, one of the things that I was looking at is in the dispatch screen, the special instructions. Is there a way we can separate the order special instructions and like the delivery special instructions? Because on the dispatch screen, they both show up as SI, so I have to open up every single order.
I think that there is a site setting that differentiates the two of those things. Let me see. There's like an auto confirm toggle in the site settings management decisions. I don't know if this is like going to help you or not, but I'm just wanted to make sure you knew about these things. There's like auto confirm with special instructions. You do have those on, not on your site, on somebody else's site. But there's auto confirm ASAP orders without special instructions, auto confirm ASAP orders with order. So there's a differentiation in the auto confirm for order level and item level. Does that help you at all?
Not really, because then it won't get sent off. It's more of a, if it's a delivery special instructions, have it separate, show up separate on the dispatch screen. So instead of SI, maybe SID or something like that. That way I know that I don't have to go into that order and see if they try to add anything. You know, I know it's only a delivery instruction.
Roger. That makes sense. No way to do it yet, but yeah, noted on my side now. Let's see. I think that all kind of came out of a comment on my side about like a driver referral program. And so back to, I only have a few more things. I mean, I guess really like my main point here today was that we're kind of getting, you know, getting our vision straight again after the conference, and the guys are at another conference. So there's stuff probably coming out of that too that we'll be announcing in the next couple of weeks. So we're really kind of pushing on getting a lot of that stuff done as quickly as we can. That's fresh with newly inked partnerships and such. We kind of like reinvigorated, relaunched the 7-Eleven stuff again. So that's, you know, expect some 7-Eleven related action very near if you don't have any yet. We are building out that GFO dashboard for you guys. So you're going to have the full ability to toggle your GFO stuff soon. More on that in Julie's section, I'm sure. And I don't really have too much else on my list. I'll just open back up for any questions that anybody might have before passing it over to Julie.
I had one, Matt, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. I was looking forward to this morning, so I could ask you, and I didn't write it down, and I'm just too tired. So it might come back at the end of the meeting.
Understood. I'll be around. I guess as a side note, I'll mention that Joe is diving again into the financials in relation to pay on pickup stuff. So we have a client that kind of just like brought some questions to Joe the other day regarding that report, and he like realized that something was incorrect on the expected versus actual report. That's the payment went out there, and so he's sending. He's got like 3 developers looking through there with him to straighten some things out. So if there's if you have any questions about the expected versus actual report, or something you use on a regular basis, just maybe give it an extra once over to see if everything looks aligned. If you have any questions, just, you know, of course, reach out or hit us with a ticket. We'll be happy to help. And a reminder is when Joe's calls are on Wednesdays. I do highly recommend anybody with any financial related phone calls or questions jump over there. He is able to answer them in a manner in which he doesn't have to like pull all your financials up or anything in front of everybody. That's oftentimes what I've noticed is people's concerns of, I want to ask these private questions on a public thing, you know. I don't know. He can answer them without pulling your stuff up in front of everybody as well, with a kind of a more generic-y looking answer there. But it is a great spot to go to get your questions answered for anything financial related.
I hate to keep jumping in, but not only financial, because once he covers the financial stuff, guys, you can ask him really anything about the site, and you'll get some straight answers. And it is a great call to be on.
I love that. Yes. I mean, even having been around for like the 10 years on the team, I still pass. I don't like doing anything unilaterally. I pass everything up and through Joe and Anthony and make sure I get Devin's stamp of approval on it too. So like, those guys can always give you a little bit more of a super straightforward answer. On my side, I like to think that I'm giving the best calculated answer that I can. So, and part of my role and my goal always is to be sure to be a voice for the clients and everything, and to fight for anything that I think you guys are wanting or needing. One of the lines I say often is sometimes it's really like the really small things that we release that people celebrate and love, and are like, oh, we needed that tiny thing that seems silly for a long time, but everybody wants that little tiny silly thing, you know. And then a lot of times we'll release some crazy, huge, complicated thing, and people are like, "What's that? What am I supposed to do with this?" So that is a lesson to keep in mind. As always, appreciate you guys' time today. I'm going to pass it over to Julie. Julie, good afternoon.
Hey everyone. I did see Jeremiah just put in the chat here for the call that those calls will be on pause for 3 weeks with Joe. I think he's taking a little vacation. So I guess keep that in mind. He probably announced that on his call yesterday. All right, so Matt mentioned earlier that GFO dashboard is something we've been working on, and I actually do have some fun, exciting updates for you guys on that. And I am going to share my screen. Some of you might have noticed this morning a new tab in your location and restaurant area. If you haven't noticed, I will show you right now. All right, let's go computer. There we go. All right, so I'm going to start in locations. And I'll just go to a random one. So you will now see this GFO tab here. And inside of it, at the top, you have the ability now to disable your location, enable your location, do only delivery, only takeout, enable and enable all unspecified location. I'm not sure what that one means. I'll have to get clarity on that. So let me backtrack a little bit here. Most of you are probably aware, almost 2 weeks ago now, we had to strengthen our restrictions on GFO. We put a form out there for you all to get consent from your restaurants that might have been removed due to our system not recognizing them as partners. This particular GFO tab is something that we've been working on for a while, but due to that situation, we fast-tracked at least getting this capability available for you all. Give me 1 second here. Sorry, postman. So we're basically giving our clients more control and passing the responsibility of confirming a restaurant's partnership and a restaurant's consent to be listed on GFO. We're passing that all on to you guys, since you all have those relationships, you know, your boots on the ground, and you know what's going on with your restaurants in your market. So this is the GFO tab on the location. This will enable your location. And then here is where you can change or update the logo that shows on the GFO ordering page where the menus show. You can put your business name, your logo, and even an extra little blurb if you want. So that's what that looks like on the GFO location tab. I hear a hand raised. Jeremiah.
Hey, is there any plans to like maybe add that form into, so when the restaurants sign up to set up auto pay, things like
Yes.
that form?
Yes.
Okay.
We will be adding that form in or something like it that will be doing like sort of the same thing. We'll also be adding in the ability for you all to adjust your own GFO fees. You know, the percentage and the flat rate. I'm drawing a blank. The driver commission on GFO. There's even a field for like to add extra delivery fee for GFO only, not a service fee, but like delivery fee. So those things are also coming down the line and will be in this same tab. I don't know why this doesn't want to. There we go.
Julie, do you know any type of timeline on any of that stuff?
Not like set timeline. I know it's something they're still working on. But I don't have like a set exact date that they have a goal to get it done by. So for now, you know, that kind of stuff, like the fee, service fees and those changes, you can still reach out to me, put in a ticket, stuff like that. If you have to make adjustments, I can get it done pretty quickly for you, or if not me, someone else on the team. All right, so into the restaurant area. I'm just picking a random restaurant. There's now a GFO tab for the restaurant. And this is where you can enable it if it is a partner restaurant. Now, most of these will probably already be enabled since we did it already on our side like a long time ago when we first set you all up for GFO. But like if you're adding a new restaurant, or maybe you just solidified a partnership for a restaurant that you already have a profile for, you can go in here and mark it enabled. Or if you want to just specify between delivery and takeout. This section is pretty simple right now, but again, the per restaurant service fee and the other like financial adjustments for GFO will also show up in this tab on the restaurant level once we make that available for you all as well. All right, so now we added something else to kind of help you all manage this. If you go to this drop-down report, you'll see this new GFO area and these reports. So if you click Restaurant Feed Overview, you will, let me just narrow it down to one location. I guess I'll just do, well, I kind of went pretty quick there. I selected the location and I hit Generate Report. This is now where you can see which restaurants are enabled for GFO, if they are just delivery, just takeout, or fully enabled. We also have some other notifications in here, like if it's a duplicate, like maybe you have the profile in there twice. If it's been blocked for one reason or another. Blocked is manual, and it we usually do it like if you all have told us, hey, like turn this specific restaurant off for GFO because they requested it, or usually something along those lines. Some other nifty things in here, not in Google. This restaurant might not have a Google business profile set up. So some good information here. And then over here shows if it's going into the feed for Google. And then you can actually click Google search and it will take you directly to that restaurant's Google search, and you can just kind of see what's going on in their actual page. Now this one isn't showing active menus.
So that one there, Julia, I'm glad that you did that, because on mine, quite a few of them shows it's been enabled, and then when you go to the actual link, there's nothing there.
Cool. Oh wait, the location is not active. That's why that one's not showing.
Oh.
So probably,
Okay.
oh, this whole
That's probably
location that I ended up clicking on is not active. Well, there you go. Another very valuable piece of information. Sometimes you'll get something like this. Again, saying that the location isn't inactive. So little things you all can start to use to start troubleshooting GFO listings yourself and probably get results a lot faster versus, you know, relying on myself or another support team member. All right. Any questions? I have one more thing, but any questions up to this point? I think I heard Jacques.
On the dashboard, I see that the enabled takeout, enabled delivery is still there. Is this just meant to be redundant, or could they work against each other? Do they both be checked?
So you mean like this here?
No, I see it in the GFO tab. I'm talking about if you go to the individual dashboard for a restaurant.
A restaurant.
And you go to, if you, let me go to it. I can use the proper words. If I go to any single restaurant and pick up that restaurant on that first screen, that first setup screen, edit restaurant, on the very bottom, you have the offer delivery, offer takeout.
Oh.
They have to be ticked. They did, so.
This is a good question. So I usually, when I'm enabling GFO for restaurants, so here I'm on the info tab, like the first tab for a restaurant profile. And at the very bottom is you can do delivery, takeout, or you can click both if you're doing both for that particular restaurant. You can also specify in the GFO tab if you only want delivery or takeout for that restaurant. However, the checkboxes on the info tab will override whatever you have set up in the GFO tab. So I usually fully enable a restaurant, even if maybe only one of these boxes is checked, because then if later on you can start to offer takeout for the restaurant, you click this box, you don't have to go back into the other tab and change it from delivery only to enable. I mean, it was a time saver for me when I was doing, you know, hundreds of these things a day. But if you want to be a little bit more specific and redundant, you can follow exactly what you have on your info tab to what you have set up in your GFO tab. But again, whatever checkbox you have in your info tab will override what you have here. So this particular restaurant in the info tab, it only had the offers delivery box checked. Well, if I do enable takeout for GFO, nothing will happen. It won't enable takeout for GFO because takeout was not checked on the info tab.
Great, thank you.
Does that answer the question?
You did. And the second thing I have is on the GFO reports, where it says the top report, the GFO managed listing. I get a pop-up that says you do not have access to that resource.
It might not be. I don't actually know what that one does. So
Okay.
It might not be available to anyone right now.
Gotcha.
They might still be working on it.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so, but I do want to go back over here. And I don't was I? Let's do this one. Okay. So this location isn't active, but this report will work the same way. So we know that you guys create partnerships with your restaurants in many different ways. But basically, a partnership is a partnership when the restaurant knows who you are and they're happy with you delivering for them. Some of those agreements are verbal, and we recognize that, which is part of why we made that consent form for you all to use. But we don't want anybody to abuse the system. So we have created this other report you can pull. So normal mode is normal. If we get reached out by Google or maybe by a restaurant that could indicate some sort of violation with marking having a restaurant enabled for GFO that's not really one of your partners, we can and will exercise a strict mode, which will basically tighten up the restrictions on what we will allow you to list for GFO. So you can pull a report on what strict mode might look like for you. So you can go to strict mode, generate report. I don't even know if this one is going to show it. There will be, this is a bad example. There will be some restaurants that will be highlighted in a darker color. Anybody want to volunteer a location?
You can use mine.
Who is that, Jeremiah?
Yeah, 352 delivery.
Oh, I'm not in your instance. Anyone who's on DC want to volunteer a location?
You can use Maui.
Okay. I'll do all three. All right, let's see. Here we go. So it will look like this in strict mode. Restaurants that could possibly be disabled because of strict mode will be highlighted in gray. And those are the ones that you should probably go and get that consent form for, because our internal checks and balances are not satisfied with the partnership that's set up. So this is going to be a great tool for you all to not have to worry about getting a form for every single restaurant.
Okay, Julie, I have a question there because I just saw Maui Thai Bistro, for instance, or Quattro. Both of them are listed here. They have direct links from their site to us. They 100% are partners. So how is this being compiled? Because
well, this one's been disabled. Have they requested maybe to not be?
No, not at all. Where they're number one, they, as I say, they have a order delivery where they're preferred. They put us directly on their site. They're the only ones who can do that. I can't get into their website.
So okay, so great. You can. So if you see disabled, that means that they have not been enabled for GFO. So you can actually, if you click their name, it will take you directly to their restaurant profile, which is also a great little shortcut. And then you can go to the GFO tab and you can enable them. Would you like me to do that for you now since I'm here?
Sure.
And then remember, Google does take some time to resync. It's usually 4 to 6 hours. It can sometimes take up to 24. So then maybe tomorrow, Jacques, you want to pull that same report and see if that restaurant's still highlighted.
Okay. So it has nothing, the strict mode may not have to do with actually the restaurant.
It may not. I'm actually not privy to exactly what internal things we have going on because there's a lot of stuff. But like, for example, If a restaurant's on partner pay, that's for sure 100%. Our system's gonna recognize it as a partner because there's money flowing directly from our system into their bank account. So there are, you know, things like that. But I don't know everything.
That's cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, and really, you know, we're not saying, like I said, we know you guys have verbal agreements, and we're not saying for sure 100% we'll remove these restaurants if you pull a report on what it might look like if you're in strict mode. We want to make sure that there's no blowback from Google or restaurants, and we want to make sure the restaurants that you actually have gone and enabled, because remember, you guys now have this ability and it will be your responsibility. So the ones that you go and enable them for GFO are true restaurants. And if we do get notices of violations, then we reserve the right to put you in strict mode, which would remove the ones that we're not sure if they're true partners or not. Again, another reason to have that form. And then we can go back and check, oh, you have this form submitted, we'll put this one back on. But that would really only be if violations occur. All right, that is pretty much all I got new stuff on GFO. I know it's a lot. Michael Dunn, yes, you had your hand raised earlier. Hello.
On my feed, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
now I can.
So on my feed, all my 7-Elevens have been disabled, and it says the restaurant is offline. Do you know if they're having like some type of, I don't know. When I look and I search it on Google,
Yeah.
It's saying that it's like a free delivery and expires today, but all of them are saying that the restaurant is offline.
I haven't checked a 7-Eleven Google. I haven't Googled 7-Eleven, but I do know that they have had some issues with their POS. We have been waiting on some updates and working with them. And I do believe either late last night or maybe today at some point, that issue has been fixed. So we are going through now in waves and turning them back on. So you should see them working properly within the next 24 hours.
Okay, all right, thanks.
But I'm glad you brought up 7-Eleven because I got so excited about the GFO dashboard that I forgot to mention 7-Eleven. Any other questions about the GFO stuff that I went over? All right. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of fun playing around with those new reports and new tabs. You know how to reach me if you have any questions. So please don't hesitate to ask. Jeff.
So it's not GFO question, but it's a POS question with Clover. Do you have time to talk about that?
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes left, and I was going to open the floor for POS stuff. I don't have really any new news on POS, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, I just have that restaurant that we did that part for, and Dirt is wanting to know when we can go live with it for that Morley's American Grill. You know.
Did you look at the menu? Did it look good to you?
Yeah, we just disabled we disabled all the alcohol ones because we don't serve alcohol. I mean, deliver alcohol, and but the rest of the stuff, you know, there was a couple of things that we got rid of or disabled as far as like lunch specials, but the rest of it is good to go. They wanted to know when they could test it to make sure that it's printing and all that other jazz.
That's what I was going to suggest. You and I should just schedule a time. Probably will only take about 15 minutes.
Perfect. And I can get the manager on board as well, Lacey. She's been pretty good. So
great. I mean, we can even just do like a Google Meet like this or a 3-way call, and I can send some test orders through. And he can be there.
how does that work though? Like, it is a general question for everybody. So when they add somebody, if they add something on to Clover, because there's a two-way connection, every day, does it, the ones that I disable,
Oh, you cut out there. So, but I think I know what you were
do I
gonna
have to go
say.
in there and disable that every day? Oh, can you hear me?
You still there, Jeff? Can you
Yes,
hear?
I am. Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
here.
So the basic backbone of our Clover direct integration is there and everything's working great. But there are now the details that we're working out. And one of them is the automatic menu sync. So that is not fully enabled yet. So if the restaurant makes any updates to the menu as of now, they'll just have to let you know. Or I guess just let you know, and then you can ask me to repull the menu or ask someone from the support team to repull the menu. It will eventually be a webhook basically, which will, Clover will send a notification to us when a change is made and then we automatically pull. But
Perfect.
we're still working.
So when that does happen, and if I go and disable the alcohol drinks, like the shots, the beers, the wine, and the next day it does that through the webhook and it pulls that menu, do I physically have to go back in and disable those categories, or can we make a rule?
We'll be making it so that it's, the word we're using is sticky. So any changes that you make will stick.
Perfect.
And it won't like undo everything you did.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Richard.
Yeah, have you been able to reach back out with Otter again? I know we talked about it a few weeks ago.
No, I did send an email to the person that I had been talking to like a year ago, but I have not heard back from them. However, it is conference season and it's usually really hard to get a hold of people this time of year. But I'll probably be sending him like a hey, like, you know, just checking in type of email every couple of weeks until I hear back.
Hopefully, if the guys are still out there, which I think they are at the On Demand, that they go and talk to Toast. They're out there this year. They have a booth and everything, so that'd be pretty cool if they got a hold of them.
Yeah, at the risk of getting you all too excited, I actually did have a call with a low-level manager at Toast yesterday, and the good news is they have opened their API key up again, which it has been closed for about 2 years. Bad news is there's a backlog of thousands of people that want access to that API key. So hopefully the person that I talked to yesterday can bump our request a little bit further up the line. But, you know, fingers crossed, maybe it's something we can get done this year. Direct integration with Toast would be so cool. So I'll definitely let you guys know if any movement happens with that. Well, we are almost out of time. I'll pass it back over to Matt if you have anything else you want to go over.
No, nothing really additional on my side. Michelle, I have a more complete list of stuff for next week. But yeah, I think everything is going well. We're moving in a good direction. We're getting everything has been really stable. You know, we did all the server upgrades. You know, knock on wood, no problems on that side of things. And we're adding all of these new things which folks told us they want. So I'm excited for all of it. Appreciate you guys joining today. Again, the next call is going to be on Saturday. That's Dave on the weekend there for general training. Thanks a lot for your time today. Stay in touch with us on Slack. Talk to you soon. Later. Bye.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye.